In partial fulfillment for the requirements in ESE156-2, Group 1 will be presenting a case study. It will be about an environmental plan to prevent COVID-19 and other environment-related diseases for the city of Wuhan, China. Here are the following members and reporters for this study. BAWAR prepared the projected population, helped in development strategies, cost estimation, and background research. CARINO researched key stakeholders and helped in environmental quality status. LOGMAO helped in ecosystems research, development strategies, and cost estimation. ORCILLA researched on health status and applicable laws, and helped in environmental quality status and the analysis of environmental factors. SUN prepared the background of the research, helped in the analysis of environmental factors, development strategies, and cost estimation. Let us first start with some background information of Wuhan, China. The name of the city is Wuhan, and it is located at Hubei Province, People's Republic of China. The area is 8,494 square kilometers, and the population is at 11.08 million in the prefecture level and sub-provincial city, 8.9 million in the urban areas, and 19 million in the metro. For Wuhan's economic status, Wuhan historically grew its economy through trading. In the 1950s, iron ore and coal deposits were found in the city, and with that, the first steel and iron complex was made in Hanyang. Note that Hanyang is one of China's past cities made in the Sui dynasty, and it was merged with the cities of Wuchang and Hankou to form what Wuhan is today. With that, Wuhan became a major industrial producer for the entire country by providing millions of tons of steel every year. The industries present in Wuhan are mainly steel production, automobile industry, and commerce and trading. For steel production, Wuhan is the largest silicon producer within China. Wuhan is also known for its grain-oriented silicon steel. For automobile industry, Wuhan City is known as the Motor City where most auto plants are located. About 50% of total production of Honda in China is accounted by Wuhan. For commerce and trading, when Wuhan finally ended its lockdown in April of 2020, there was a high demand for manufactured products including mechanical equipment, protective gear, and medical supplies. The exports and imports of Wuhan increased by a whopping 19.3% by May of 2020 in comparison to the year before.
Ecosystems in Wuhan. Wuhan is located at a fairly low latitude at the 30th parallel and is 630 kilometers away from the sea, which causes it to have a temperate climate with relatively cold winters and hot, muggy, and rainy summers. It has abundant precipitation with an average of 52 inches per year. It has no clear boundaries between its seasons, which are spring, summer, and autumn. It has scarce amount of sunshine or sunshine hours. Wuhan is home to one of the three research-oriented botanical garden named Wuhan Botanical Garden or WBG, which has a collection of 4,000 species of flora. Wuhan is also home to a lot of exotic and wild animals. In fact, China is known for its wet markets where wild animals are sold. It is suspected that COVID-19 outbreak started at a wet market in Wuhan. And in response to the outbreak of COVID-19, Wuhan decided to ban eating wildlife animals. The bodies of water found in Wuhan are the following.
Environmental quality status. So for the air quality status, since April 2016, an assessment on air quality status in Wuhan, China was conducted by students of College of Resources and Environment of Huazhong Agricultural University. Air quality characteristics in Wuhan were assessed through descriptive statistics and hierarchical cluster analysis or HCA. The results show that air quality has improved marginally in recent years. Although nitrogen dioxide concentration continues to rise, the PM10 concentration is clearly on the decline with some minor fluctuations. Furthermore, since 2008, The sulfur dioxide concentration has been slowly decreasing. Nonetheless, existing air pollution levels are also very high, with PM10 and nitrogen dioxide levels breaching air quality standards.
Health status in Wuhan. Number 1 is COVID-19. In December 2019, several cases of COVID-19, formerly called as 2019 nCoV, has emerged in the city of Wuhan, making it the ground zero of the coronavirus pandemic. The virus spread rapidly due to the celebration of Chinese holidays, and more cases started to appear in nearby provinces. Wild animals sold in the wet market are suspected to be the source of the novel coronavirus. Not long after, the virus has spread all over the world and has gained global attention. The city of Wuhan is officially free of COVID-19, a year after the first case of the virus emerged. The pre-pandemic or normal life has returned to the city, with residents still wearing masks for precaution. This proves that the city has successfully flattened the curve, and its pandemic response is effective. Second is mental health issue. With the present outbreak of COVID-19, it affects people's daily life and behavior, for rules and strategies are implemented to prevent the transmission of the disease. This new environment or new normal that people are facing causes mental health issues such as stress, fear of the unknown, anxiety, anger, denial, insomnia, and depression symptoms. Moreover, it shows that mental health issues occur among COVID-19 survivors. In Wuhan City, where the first case of COVID-19 was reported, a total of 4,328 COVID-19 survivors are assessed with mental health problems. Among these survivors, 4.2% or 615 were found to be depressed, 12.2% or 528 were found to experience anxiety, and 4 survivors attempted to suicide. To cope with the widespread psychological stress during the pandemic, China launched a mental health support system. The third is other environment-related diseases. According to the 2019 Global Burden of Disease study, the table shows the top leading causes of death in China. This epidemiologic data shows that the top 3 diseases linked to environmental factors in the country are stroke, lung cancer, and stomach cancer. Moreover, the GBD study of 2019 presents that air pollution is one of the top risk factors that drive most death and disability combined.
We will now discuss the objectives for this case study. Firstly, the general objective. The general objective of this study is to reduce the transmission of COVID-19 and other environment-related diseases, and ensure that no similar outbreaks will occur in the city until 2050. Specifically, this study aims to increase the number of households with access to mental health services, to control and maintain the quality of COVID-19 measures, to reduce the air pollution caused by industries in Wuhan City, and to regulate and protect wildlife and their habitats by stopping wildlife trade.
So for the projected population, we are given by the data of 8,365,000 as the population for year 2020 and 8,473,000 for year 2021. To compute for the projected population, we must know first the annual growth rate, and by using this formula, R is equal to P over PA, Pn over PA raised to 1 over N minus 1, where Pn is the population in year 2021 and PA is the population in year 2020, and N is the difference in years, and we arrive using by doing direct substitution, we arrive with an annual growth rate of 1.29%. For the projected population, using this formula, Pn is equal to Pa times 1 plus R raised to N, where R is the computed annual growth rate and by just doing direct substitution, we arrive with a population of 12,291,468, or approximately 12,300,000 people. The following data are based from China for the disaggregation to urban, rural, male-to-female ratio, age distribution due to inavailability of demographical data for Wuhan. This graph shows the data between the population of rural and urban areas in China for year 1955 to 2020. In year 2020, 61% of the population of China is urban, which is 875,075,919, and 39% is from rural areas with a value of 565,247,875. Thus, the graph shows an increasing population in urban area from 1995 to 2020. Next is male to female ratio. This line graph shows the percentage of female and male population from the total population in China. The female population shows that it is increasing from 2010 to 2019, while the male population is decreasing starting 2010 until 2019. As of 2019, 680,596,325, or 48.69% is the population of female, and 717,118,675, or 51.31% is the population of male out of 1.4 billion of total population in China. Next is age distribution. The graph shows the population percentage of ages 0 to 14 working age from the total population in China. For ages 0 to 14 population, it shows that the population were decreasing, and for working age group, it shows that the population decreased from 1995 to 2010 and increasing from 2010 to 2019. While this graph shows the population with age 65 and above in China, and it shows that the population was increasing since 1965 until 2019.
Key stakeholders. The first one is the non-government. So non-governmental organizations or NGOs plays an important role in the environmental management dialogue in many other countries. There are currently few non-governmental organizations in China. As a result, elected agencies have few options for receiving information on public complaints regarding environmental issues. Wuhan Environment Protection Agency's Public Affairs Office has started a process of engaging with the public on certain environmental concerns. However, it does not seem that there is an organizational framework in place that can easily solicit and respond on input from non-government stakeholders. So the next one is the Wuhan Municipal Government. So the Wuhan Municipal Government is in charge of the municipality's administrative affairs. Several main committees have been tasked with overseeing the various regulatory sectors. So the first one is the Wuhan Economy Community. They are in charge of industry policy and environmental conservation coordination. The next one is the Wuhan Planning Committee. It makes the annual and long-term preparations for the city's economic and social growth and is in charge of ensuring that the development is coordinated and balanced. It also makes preparations for how international loans can be used and verifies the loan project. This committee's expenditure division is in charge of selecting and allocating funds for environmental infrastructure and upgrades throughout the city. The next one is the Wuhan Urban and Countryside Construction Management. Is in charge of the whole city's water supply, heating supply, gas supply, vegetation, municipal facilities, environmental sanitation, environmental protection, housing, and etc. Though its bureaus such as Wuhan Public Facility Bureau, Forest and Garden Bureau, Municipal Construction and Administrative Bureau, Environmental Sanitation Bureau, Environmental Protection Bureau, Housing and Land Bureau, and etc. The committee coordinates the environmental protection among these bureaus. The next one is the Wuhan Science and Technology Committee. It is in charge of all science and technology research in the area. It is in charge of assessing the applying scientific accomplishments. The committee is also in charge of environmental study organization, planning, evaluation, and dissemination. The next one is the Wuhan Foreign Economic Relation and Trade Commission. They are the ones that manages international exchange and investment projects. The next one is the Wuhan Agriculture Committee. Is in charge of the city's farmland as well as the agricultural ecosystems, environmental conservation, and township enterprise. The next one is the Wuhan Family Planning Committee. Is in charge of the whole city's birth control. And last but not the least, Wuhan Public Health Bureau is in charge of the emergency services, public welfare, and industrial disease for the whole region.
Applicable environmental laws and policies. The basic legislation for environmental protection in China is the Environmental Protection Law, which was issued and adopted on September 13, 1979. It is established in accordance to Article 11 of the Constitution of the People's Republic of China. The environmental policies of the country are Environmental Protection Law of the People's Republic of China, China's New Energy Vehicle Mandated Policy, the 13th Five-Year Plan for Economic and Social Development of the People's Republic of China, 2016 to 2020, the PRC Law on Prevention and Control of Air Pollution, and the Wildlife Protection Law of the People's Republic of China. Analysis of environmental factors affecting COVID-19 and other related diseases. Given the rate of increasing population in Wuhan City and the projected population in the year 2050, it is possible that overcrowding can occur. This close contact phenomenon is desirable for COVID-19 transmission, since COVID-19 is known to virally spread by direct contact and contaminated surfaces. However, ever since the city's first case of COVID-19 in 2019, they became officially free from it a year after, along with an increase in their economy. This outstanding rebound shows that Wuhan City was able to improve and maintain their COVID-19 measures, and it would be recommended to continue doing so until the last case on Earth is gone. Wuhan City, however, has other concerns to attend to, now that they have controlled their COVID-19 situation. One of these concerns are the environmental factors such as the amount of air pollution that their industries are producing. Another is wildlife trade that is still ongoing, despite this being the possible origin of COVID-19. Lastly, is the mental health conditions of the residents. With these environmental factors, it can affect the following environmental planning elements in their respective manners. Number one is land use. Air pollution can affect land use by increasing indoor air pollution that affects zoning. Wildlife trade can affect land use since the habitat of wildlife should be protected and preserved. Mental health conditions affect land use since having a good mental health condition may lead a good response and action in managing land and its uses. Next is circulation. With air pollution, the quality of open-air public travel modes and even just walking is lowered. Circulation means having a good transportation system, and these may lead to land use like construction of roads, and wildlife may be disturbed upon construction. Next is housing. High levels of air pollution may cause an area to be not suitable for housing. Housing means building more structure and usage of more lands that may disturb wildlife habitat. Next is conservation. Air pollution negatively impacts flora and fauna. Air pollutants can hinder plant growth by damaging living tissues, which impairs photosynthesis and the ability to respirate. Acid precipitation from rain degrades the quality of water bodies, which may be lethal for marine animals. The practice of wildlife trading disturbs wild animals from their natural habitat. This may have negative effects on both the animal and its environment. Wildlife trading raises an issue of conservation of wildlife for reasons that wildlife trading puts different species at endangerment. The condition of mental health directly affects one's determination to conserve, protect, and manage their surroundings. Poor mental health may lead to the neglect of their environment. Next is open space. Air pollution reduces the quality of air in available open spaces, which may defeat the purpose of open spaces. Open spaces must be checked first if wildlife are living there before using it. If it is, then it must be preserved. Last is safety. Air pollution negatively impacts the health and lifestyle of people. Daily or long-term exposure of humans to air pollutants affects lung development, which can lead to respiratory diseases. Possession of wildlife animals increases the risk of contracting zoonotic diseases or diseases shared between animals and humans. Also, untamed or untrained wildlife animals may injure or wound people close to them. Poor mental health conditions would mean that the people of Wuhan are more vulnerable to suicidal tendencies.
Development strategies for wildlife, animal, and habitat preservation. First, we are going to implement new rules and regulation about wildlife trade and why this should be banned. Next is City Wild Awareness Campaign of the harms of wildlife trading and the importance of preservation of wildlife will also be implemented. So for the key activities, we are going to gather evidence to support against wildlife trading and present the many negative effects of wildlife trading. Proposing a new draft of wildlife protection law that bans wildlife trade altogether, commercial and illegal trade with appropriate penalties to any violation. Designing poster campaigning about wildlife preservation and infographics about the adverse effect of wildlife trading. Then, posting the posters and infographics in the streets and social media platforms for the awareness. In 2021 to 2022, we will be hiring appropriate professionals needed for the program and researchers for to research about the negative effect of wildlife trading and why this should be banned. And for the year 2023, the proposal of new draft of wildlife protection law will be submitted and the citywide campaigning for awareness of harms of wildlife trading and importance of perseverance of wildlife will be implemented. For the cost of activities for the development strategies of wildlife, animal, and habitat preservation, we are going to have a capital cost for appropriate salaries for the people involved, which are the lawmakers, graphic designers, public relations, scientific researchers, and for the material cost for the poster materials and electronic gadgets. We will be also having a cost for maintenance, for revision cost for the draft proposal revision and the poster designs.
The next development strategy would be air pollution control. Wuhan is among China's polluted cities, ranking 146 globally in mid-2019. However, due to lockdowns, there was a 63% improvement in Wuhan's air quality due to the reduced use of vehicles that produce greenhouse gases. This can be used as a framework for this development strategy. The key activities for this development strategy would be pushing for electrification of vehicles and supporting this by having charging stations available citywide. The next would be implementing rules for industries to monitor their emission and treat it accordingly. The next is implementing number coding, or the Unified Vehicle Volume Reduction Program, or UVVRP, to monitor and control the vehicular volume and its emission. And lastly, it would be pushing for renewable sources of energy, such as solar energy. Here is the time frame for air pollution control. In the year 2021, the promotion of solar panels and making these available and accessible in the city will happen. Also, the first proposal of rules and regulations for emissions monitoring will also occur. For the years 2022 to 2027, the coordination with respective government agencies for sources and planning and construction of charging stations will occur. Also, there will be the implementation of number coding, or the UVVRP for all vehicles. And lastly, for the years 2027 to 2037, the proposed rules and regulations for emissions monitoring should be fully in place and implemented. Here are the costs of activities for air pollution control. For capital costs, it would be the appropriate salaries for the people involved, namely the lawmakers, public relations, scientific researchers, traffic sergeants, and police officers. For materials costs, it would be charging stations, solar panels, and construction costs. For the maintenance cost, it would just be the revision cost, specifically the draft proposal revisions.
Development strategies for mental health service. First, we'll create a mental health program such as free online consultation with professionals for patients. We will also create a demand for the professionals in the psychology field since there is lack of therapists in China. In 2017, there are only 9 professionals for every 100,000 residents. We will also create a suicide hotline, making help accessible to those who need it. The key activities are creating a citywide mental health program, which will be adopted by schools and companies, drafting city ordinance requiring companies to hire licensed professionals to provide mental health support for their employees. This will create a demand for the profession, increasing the ratio of professionals to residents. And then we will create the suicide hotline to provide help and support for suicidal risk individuals. This is the time frame for the development strategies for mental health service. For the year 2021, we will be drafting the city ordinance requiring companies to hire psychiatrists. We will be also drafting the mental health programs to be adopted for schools and companies. We will be organizing the suicide hotline office and services. By the year 2022 to 2023, construction and completion of suicide hotline office building, implementation of the drafted city ordinance and mental health programs, and a citywide monitoring of the implementation of the ordinance and programs. As for the cost of activities, we have capital costs and maintenance costs. For the capital costs, we have the appropriate salaries for the people involved, which are psychiatrists, psychometricians, therapists, and biologists. We also have material costs, which are for the construction of the Suicide Hotline Center. And as for the maintenance costs, we have the revision costs, which is for the revision of the draft proposal. We also have operation and maintenance costs of the Suicide Hotline Center.
Here are the summary of activities, time frame, and estimated costs for wildlife, animal, and habitat preservation. The total estimated cost for 2021 to 2050 will be 103,935,795 pesos.
Here is the summary for the activities, time frame, and estimated cost for air pollution control. The total estimated cost would be 116,136,789 pesos.
As for the mental health service, these are the summary of its activities, time frame, and estimated cost. The total estimated cost is 119,902,976 pesos.
For the conclusions and recommendations of this case study, we conclude that Wuhan should continue its current practices and measures against COVID-19. It is also recommended to ensure proper precaution and emphasis on sanitation in the city to prevent another pandemic. This case study recommends using the proposed development strategies to help mitigate the adverse effects of these problems by the year 2050. And lastly, the development strategies recommended may be used as a framework and can be improved on depending on the actual situation in Wuhan. And that is the end of our presentation, and thank you for listening.